It's bold prediction time, and the 2026 Reds are ready to show out and break a very long drought.
You are Locked On Reds, your daily Cincinnati Reds podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm Jeff Carr, he's Steve Offenbaker, and rhyming notwithstanding, today's episode is brought to you by MLB The Show 26. Visit MLBTHE.show/locked-on and use the promo code locked-on to unlock a pack for use in Diamond Dynasty, available now on PlayStation 5, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch. Rated E for everyone. Later on in today's show, we'll tell you why you've not seen the best from Emilio Pagán. In just a few minutes, you'll find out why the Reds have a league leader among them. But we'll begin with the ultimate goal, playoff glory. Because on this episode, we're going to give you some bold predictions. And Steve, it's very bold indeed to say that the Cincinnati Reds will advance in the playoffs. But I'm here to tell you the 2026 Cincinnati Reds are going to advance to the NLCS.
I can live with that. A couple things will have to go their way. It all boils down to where do they run into the Los Angeles Dodgers. If the way the seeding works out, where they don't have to play each other until the NLCS, I can definitely see that happen. I think the Cincinnati Reds team is built to win a playoff series, or definitely built to win a short series. So you get to the NLCS, all bets are off. I think that's where they run into the Los Angeles Dodgers. I see this as a real possibility. And the thing that has me the most excited is I think the players, the coaching staff, the manager, and the front office all see that same thing. They all look at this team as having an opportunity to not only sneak on in, hashtag, let's retire that. They have the opportunity to win the division, win a playoff series, advance, and really show off in 2026.
They are saying all the right things. They're saying it's about the division. We want to win the division. And the key to making the NLCS is winning the division, because if you win that division, you're the number 3 seed. And for my money, when I look at this season, I think that this is the year that the Dodgers just go crazy game 1 through 162. We see them lead the league in wins. They're going to be the number 1 seed. They could be the number 1 overall seed amongst all of the major leagues, because I feel like last year they proved, all right, the regular season isn't that important. And everybody's just like, man, look at this, 2 World Series in a row. And I think they want to up the ante. They want to go a little bit further. They want to dominate all the way through. And so the Dodgers are going to be the number 1 seed in the National League. So if the Reds win the division, I believe that the NL East division winner will probably have more wins. That will put the Reds at a 3rd spot. They will have a wild card series, albeit it will be hosted in Cincinnati, as opposed to them having to go on the road for 3 games. They'll win that. And then in the divisional series, they'll play that NL East team. I don't feel really good about who that will be, but I feel really good about the Reds' chances to beat them, because I think the Reds have a complete team. Now, I think there's a very key difference to what some people think I just said there. They think I said the Dodgers are the Cincinnati Reds. That's not what I said. They have good pitching. They have better hitting than they had last year, which I think will amount to a good lineup. And they have a good bullpen. I think that all together, that's going to coalesce into this curse-busting, drought-busting, whatever you want to call it, team of 2026 that is going to get them advancing through some playoff glory.
Yeah, I think so. The 3 seed in the playoff format that the Major League Baseball has now, I think plays in the wild card round, if I remember correctly from the seeding.
Yes.
So that's a very short series, best of 3. I like this Reds pitching staff in a 3-game series. They'll dominate that. They'll sweep that in 2. I predict, if we're doing bold predictions, that gets them to the next series, which is a best of 5. Correct. Yes. Best of 5 in the division series. Again, short series. Love the Reds pitching. Yeah. Love the Reds pitching in a short series there as well. So it sounds bold, Jeff. It sounds like you're going out on a limb. You're sticking your neck way out there to say the Reds are going to the NLCS. You don't really have to squint very hard when you look at it that way. Incredibly short series round 1, short series round 2. That's not that big a ask for this pitching staff. That's not that big of ask for this bullpen. But in order for that to happen, you hit the nail on the head. they have to win the division. And that brings me to my first bold prediction for the 2026 baseball season. This will be the year that Christian freaking Yelich and the Milwaukee Brewers lose the season series to the Cincinnati Reds. The Reds are going to win the season series against the Brewers. They're going to win the season series against the Pirates. They're going to win the season series against the Cardinals. And, six of one, half dozen of another if they win the division series or the season series against the entire division. The Reds are going to win the National League Central.
I agree with the Reds winning the division. The toughest out will be the Brewers, I think. The Reds have shown that they match up well with the Cubs. They won that series last year. Mm-hmm. They show that they can get the monkey off their back that is the weird vibes of the division rivalry with the Pirates. They won that season series last year. Weirdly, they lost the season series to St. Louis and they got trounced by the Brewers. The Brewers just have seemed to have their number. There seems to be a shifting in Milwaukee, though. Like, there are reports that Brandon Woodruff, while he is healthy, is losing velocity. There are some concerns about the starting rotation as a whole. Brandon Woodruff, is he going to be healthy enough to pitch an entire season? There's some other guys that aren't looking so great. That could be an interesting thing to monitor because they traded away Freddie Peralta. They don't have him anymore. Corbin Burns, we know, has been gone for a couple of years. And yeah, you've got Jacob Mizorowski, but what's he going to turn into? He's definitely got the talent. He's just got to show it for a long season. I think ultimately the Reds have a good shot here because it feels like the Brewers keep doing that thing that good teams do. And albeit they are a small market ran team, so they feel as though they cannot keep everybody. And so they're trying to churn. They're trying to get rid of some of the contracts that they know they cannot keep. And they are trying to get younger and try to backfill their prospects and all this other stuff. I think this is the year that it finally gets them. So I agree with you. It's bold because the Brewers have had a stranglehold on this Reds organization for years. But I think you
just hit the nail on the head. The reason why I think the time is now is for exactly what you just said. I think the Reds are on an uptick at just the right time while the Brewers are just mid-churn enough that they're not going to have that devil magic that they've had the last few years and pull 97 wins out of the air. I think if it's going to happen, it's this year. The stars seem to be aligning. I think the Reds are going to be able to pull it off. I truly believe the Reds win the season series against the Brewers and really most of this division. If I'm being honest, the one I'm worried about the most is the Cardinals because of the things we talked about last week, where the Reds always play down to that level of competition and then they let it get away from them. That's the only thing I'm really worried about within the Reds playing St. Louis. You're right. They matched up well with the Cubs last year. The Reds seemed to have the Cubs number. The Cubs really didn't get that much better. They stayed good. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. The Cubs are going to win some baseball games, but they didn't really get better by any measurable area. And then you have the Pittsburgh Pirates, who for a couple years there really just had me confounded as to why the Reds couldn't win a game against them. It was like the ghost of Clint Hurdle kept them from doing. Clint Hurdle's still alive. But anyway, you know what I mean. They owned the Reds for a little while there. But I think, just like with the Brewers, everything seems to be aligning right now for the Reds to really just plant that flag and say, this division is ours. And I agree with you that they can get to the NLCS. They got to win this division first. I think this is the year.
I wonder if they could just play like highlights of the fight between the Reds and the Cardinals from 2010 over and over and over again before Reds Cardinals series, just to get guys fired up and make them like really go hard in that series. Because you're right, there's something about this young team that it's like they get into these games that they should win and they lose. I don't know, the White Sox are the perfect example from last season. So they cannot do that this year. And especially when you look at later on in the season and their crazy gauntlet of a schedule they have in the final month of the year, they're not going to be able to take any series off early on because they got to take advantage of them early on. I think that's going to be key, but man, if they can get over the hump against the Brewers, that is going to be a huge step to winning the division.
Well, if these Cincinnati Reds are going to win the National League pennant, they are going to have to lead the league in some categories. And Jeff's bold prediction coming up has one member of the Cincinnati Reds leading the National League in a big category.
MLB The Show is already out, and if you haven't gotten it already, you're already falling behind in the Diamond Dynasty. Some strong teams out there. I've put together a nice one myself, got a couple of good players on there. Chase Burns is on my rotation. I got Ellie De La Cruz as my shortstop, feeling good about my Diamond Dynasty team. And you can get a jump start on your Diamond Dynasty team with a special promo code, and we got a special URL for you today. If you go to MLBTHE.show/locked on and you use the code LOCKEDON, you'll get a free pack to use in Diamond Dynasty. Go build that Diamond Dynasty team in MLB The Show 26 right now with the help of Locked On Reds, because we got that special promo code. Plus, you can jump into franchise mode, road to the show. So much is happening on this MLB The Show 26, and it'll get you ready for opening day. MLB The Show 26 is out now on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series S and X, and Nintendo Switch. It's ready for everyone. Make sure you go get yourself a copy today.
Major League Baseball's opening day is this week, and you can feel it. Fresh starts, big expectations, and the first crack of the back down at GABP. Whether it's a breakout rookie or a division race that goes right down to the wire, there's nothing like being in the ballpark, and Game Time makes that happen for you. Jeff and I use this all the time. We go down to the banks, we find our spot, we post up, we have a couple beverages, we have a little snack, and as it gets close to first pitch, we jump on the Game Time app, we watch those prices drop, we grab our tickets, we walk across the street and into the ballpark. Game Time makes it that easy. If they have zone deals that give you some of the best seats in the ballpark at a greatly reduced price, so you can get in on the action. All you have to do to take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time is download the app. Download that Game Time app, create an account, and use the code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. Now, terms do apply. So again, just download the Game Time app and redeem the code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Thank you guys so much for being everydayers. We appreciate you being here each and every day listening to Locked On Reds. We know you live this team. You can elevate that experience and go ad-free. The Everydayer Club lives in the audio feeds. The link for that is down in the show description, or you can head over to lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer and to get ad-free Locked On Reds, $5 a month, $50 a year. It's also going to get you exclusive access to the Locked On Discord servers. Not just Jeff and I talking ball in there. Every host, every show, the entire network talking ball all the time. You're going to love it. Use the code MARCH. It's a promo code that's going to get you a free month of the Everydayer Club. So get in on the action today. Again, the link is down in the show description. All right, Jeff, more bold predictions. If the Reds are going to win the pennant in the National League, get to the NLCS and make that a reality, they're going to have to show out. There's going to have to be some guys lead the way. And you think there's going to be a dude on this team that leads the National League in a big, big offensive category.
Eugenio Suarez will lead the National League in home runs in 2026. And looking at the number that he would need to do that, it's probably around 54 or 55. He's definitely going to have to hit more than 50. Last year, of course, you had 56 from Kyle Schwarber and 55 from Shohei Ohtani right behind him in second place. Year before that, Shohei Ohtani led the league with 54. Year before that, you had Kyle Schwarber leading the league with, I believe it was 48. And then the year before that was Matt Olson with 54. So 50 kind of feels like the number you got to beat. Last year, Steve, this is one of my favorite little things. I don't necessarily know that I put a lot of analytical credit behind this one, but last year, according to StatCast, had Eugenio Suarez played half of his games at Great American Ballpark, he would have had 54 home runs. I think he can replicate that performance from last year because there was nothing astronomically like crazy huge different that I can't see him replicating this year. Like last year, he was pretty good at barrels, 89 percentile. He's pretty good at hard hit rate, 78 percentile. But there's nothing that was like, man, he was 100th percentile, was the best in the league at this version of quality of contact or whatever it might be. I think that he can replicate that. I think he can hit those home runs again. I think we could see him hit somewhere around 50, and we can see him lead the league, at least the National League. I don't want to speak for Aaron Judge, but I think that Eugenio Suarez can hit a league leading for the National League home runs in 2026.
Again, that feels really hot takey, big, bold. but then it's really not when you look at the numbers. You're absolutely right. There's not a lot that's going to be different. I know Suarez is a year older, but you factor in getting 81 games at Great American Ballpark and what we know the baseball does right about June in Cincinnati, all the way through the end of the season. That ball likes to fly. And I think Eugenio Suarez is going to take full advantage of that. We've already seen him hit 49 home runs in a season in Cincinnati. He's a better power hitter now than he was then, believe it or not. So I agree with you. I think he can crack 50. When leading the National League in home runs, that's a big ask because of the two names that you just said leading into that talk of Eugenio, which is Kyle Schwarber. He's from Middletown, by the way, and Shohei Ohtani. Those are two big boppers. Those are guys that have done it consistently for multiple years. I would love to see a 3-horse race between those guys, coming down to the final game of the season with somebody needing one to push it ahead. How great would it be for Eugenio Suarez to hit a home run on the final game of the regular season to pass Kyle Schwarber or Shohei Ohtani for the home run crown? I think that would be absolutely thrilling. And going back to your prediction of them making it to the NLCS, going back to my prediction of the Reds winning this division, that's going to be a huge part of them achieving those things. We said the Reds needed a bopper in this lineup. We said they needed to go out and get somebody that can help them score runs in bunches. That's your guy. Gino is the man. He's bringing the good vibes. He's bringing the power bat. He's going to drive in some runs. And this is how the Reds do those things. This is how they win the division. This is how they get to the NLCS. This is how they make it happen. Bombs from Gino.
And that's his mandate, right? Like, he came to Cincinnati and they didn't say, all right, we need you to be a Gold Glove third baseman, or we need you to be leadoff on base extraordinary. No, they brought him in here and they said, mash dingers. And that's exactly what he's going to do. Like, he's set up in a nice way. And I think we'll talk about this in multiple points throughout the season. Set up in a nice way to maybe even be here for more than just one season with his mutual option and all that other stuff. And honestly, I think he's just got one objective for 2026. And I think he is going to absolutely smash that objective. I think we're talking about a guy that, like, if he were some sort of secret agent, if Eugenio Suarez was 007 and his key mission was to hit dingers, they would give him all of the medals because he's about to hit a lot of them.
Well, I want to tell you about another guy that I think is going to help fuel the Cincinnati Reds lineup. And it's a guy that you may not necessarily have jump right into your mind when you think, well, who's going to be another guy that helps? You're going to think Matt McClain. You're going to think Ellie. Here's another guy that's going to help you. I think that Tyler Stephenson is going to lean into this contract year, and he's going to do some things that he has not done during his big league career. Thing number one is he is going to appear in 145 games for the Cincinnati Reds this season. That's going to translate into him being a 3-WAR catcher for the Reds. He's going to perform in the bottom of that lineup. He's going to give the Reds bonus runs, bonus base runner, bonus gap power down in the bottom of the lineup, trying to get that big payday this coming offseason. I think Tyler's going to lean into that. We're eventually going to see him go. It's going to be sad, but the Reds are going to capitalize on the fact that Tyler is playing to get paid. And it's going to be a benefit to Tyler Stephenson. It's going to be a benefit to the 2026 Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah, 40 bombs.
Oh, buddy, if ever it was going to happen, and don't you worry,
Had to do it.
The Twitter X countdown will be on, like it has been every season since I said that. But Tyler Stephenson, if you're ever going to do it, this is the year to do it.
What was it like? I think it was like last year. He hit like his third bomb in June, and everybody's just like 37 more to go. He's going on the way.
Hey, listen, I am not hiding from that take. I will keep running that countdown back every single season, just in case it happens.
Like it kind of feels like, and this is like probably a preview of a segment that we might do later on this week, but it kind of feels like he's the forgotten man in this lineup. We're talking a lot about Gino, as we have done today in a lot of different days. We've talked a ton about Matt McClain, who's gone crazy this spring. Obviously, you talk about Ellie, talk about TJ Friedel, you talk about Sal Stewart, you talk about even a little bit of Spencer Steer. But honestly, it just kind of feels like we're like, yeah, Stevenson, he's gonna fit in there somewhere. Like, he's gonna play, right? Sure, I guess. I don't know. Who cares? A lot of people care, and this team leans on him to kind of be their leader right now. Like, I feel like we have said before that Matt McClain would be the guy to get the C on his chest, but that's likely in the future, not right now. And I think the reason why it's not happening right now is because Tyler Stephenson is still the guy that is the leader of the team. He is their representative with the Players Association, the main guy that kind of goes between them and that group. So I think that there is a leadership aura about him. And it would be huge if he plays in 145 games, because I feel like he is the kind of guy that we constantly see peripheral numbers of contact quality and power and things like this, and he's constantly getting unlucky. At some point, bad luck just turns into bad performances, but I still think that there's a chance that he could go crazy because we have not seen the other side of this, right? You see the other side of this where guys are hitting the ball really well and nobody's catching it, and just stats are piling up on there's piles of stats everywhere. That hasn't happened for him yet. Could that be this year? That would be one heck of a bold prediction to come true.
Yeah, he has a lot of things going for him to help fuel this, Jeff. I mean, just think about it from an opposing pitcher standpoint. You get through all those guys you just mentioned. You get through Friedel and McClain and Ellie and Gino. You get through Sal Stewart. You get through Spencer Steer. And finally, you're thinking, God, the bottom third of the lineup, I can take a breath. And here comes Tyler Stephenson batting seventh. And he's going to capitalize on some of that. He's going to parlay that into an advantage.
We once thought he could bat fourth, and he's going to be batting like seventh or eighth.
His career high is 142 games. He did that in 2023, but it did not really translate to wins above replacement. He was only 0.6 in wins above replacement that season. It didn't translate into OPS plus.
Came back from the collarbone.
He was 85. Yeah. He was coming back from the collarbone. So he's never really put all of the facets together. There's always been some limiting factor. I think this is the year he kind of puts that whole puzzle together, and you get the 145 games where you can break your career war. His career war right now, for a single season is 2.4. He's going to do better than that. And he's going to push that OPS plus back up above 120, I think. And you're going to get that complete package. It's going to get him a huge deal in the offseason, and it's going to help the Reds get to that LCS that you called for.
As a wise man once said, better late than never. Coming up next, the best of Emilio Pagán is yet to come. Hey, this is Jeff Carr from Locked On Reds. And, I've reached the point in my life where my wife and I are looking toward the future. We've got the house. We've got the career. We even have an awesome dog. But now we need to secure that future. That's where Ethos comes in for us. When I look at this insurance or that insurance and I try to pick one, I might as well be reading an entirely different language. Ethos clears up the noise and gets me set up with exactly what I need, because Ethos makes getting life insurance fast and easy, and it's 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos now by going to ethos.com/lockedonmlb. In as little as 10 minutes, you can get a free quote and up to $3 million in coverage at ethos.com/lockedonmlb. That's ethos.com/lockedonmlb, ethos.com/lockedonmlb. Application times and rates may vary.
Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position that you have to fill is still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for Sponsored Jobs. Indeed, Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for: skills, experience, location, so that you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your posts. And here is the stat that says it all. In the minute that I'm going to be talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all of your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of Locked On Reds will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support Locked On Reds by saying you heard about Indeed on this show. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs.
You can keep the conversation going with us over on social media. You can follow Steve at @SOffenbaker with 2 F's on Twitter, X, and you can follow me at Jeff Carr with 3 F's on X, and you can follow the show at Locked On Reds. That's on X, that's on TikTok, that's on Instagram, all of the different social medias. Follow at Locked On Reds. I also got a TikTok account. Steve, you getting a TikTok soon? I think I heard you getting a TikTok.
Never gonna happen.
It's gonna be
never gonna
more
happen.
of a cooking focused TikTok.
When you pay me the bottle of Pappies you owe me, we'll talk about a TikTok.
Yeah, I guess that's not going to happen. All right. When it comes to the Reds closer, Emilio Pagán had a heck of a season last year, the kind of season that really inspires hope for what is to come. And quite frankly, all he needs to do is copy and paste it. But you have a belief that it's going to be more.
I do. He got into 70 ball games last season, Jeff, and that amounted to 32 saves. But there were a lot of times the Reds had to use him in situations that weren't necessarily just lining him up for the best amount of success. I think with the upgrades to the bullpen and the better arms for other high leverage situations, Emilio Pagán is really just going to be able to nail down that 9th inning. It's funny you mentioned my Tyler Stephenson take a little earlier there, because I'm leaning right back into it. Emilio Pagán will have 40 saves for the Cincinnati Reds in 2026, because I like the number 40. That would be up saves from last season. I think you'll still get into the same amount of ball games in that vicinity. He could even push past 40, depending on how Francona is able to use him. If the rest of the guys in this bullpen carry the weight like they're supposed to, you could see Emilio go even higher than that. He's going to take that availability that he had, 68 innings last season, Jeff. He's going to be able to apply that much more to save situations. And we could see that number climb. Now, you and I both aren't the biggest fan of the save or the closer. Right. We like the best guy in the high leverage situations, but I think this bullpen is built to really help Emilio jack those numbers up.
I think that we're looking at a bullpen that is full of multiple high leverage guys. Like, I feel good about Emilio Pagán in a high leverage situation. I also feel good about Tony Santillan in a high leverage situation. There is some promise and some premonitions pointing toward Pierce Johnson in a high leverage situation. Haven't seen it like specifically, but I think we will see that this season. And I think that Graham Ashcraft, and I know a lot of people just threw stuff at the screen, could be a great guy in a high leverage situation. We talked about he was a very unlucky pitcher when it came to his performances last year. But coming back to Emilio Pagán and the 40 saves of it all, Steve, 4 guys have done that. The Reds have been around for a long time. There have been 4 Cincinnati Reds relief pitchers to get 40 or more saves. The most recent one happened 16 years ago. Coco Cordero got 40 saves on the nose. The other 3 guys are all-timers. One of them's in a booth right now. One of them's Jeff Cowboy. He, of course, has 44, leads the franchise for most saves in a season. And then Danny Graves, 41 from 2004. This is a stat that, yes, while we kind of poo-poo it a little bit, I feel like this is the kind of year where we can take it seriously. Mm-hmm. Not because they are sequestering Emilio Pagán to the 9th inning, a la your favorite guy, Raisel Iglesias. And it's not because they have nobody else in the bullpen and they're just going to run this dude out there in the 9th inning. It's going to be a legit 40 saves from a guy who is anchoring a legit bullpen. It's going to be having some playoff glory.
I was having a good time, and then you name drop Mr. Horribly Wrong just to piss me off. What are you doing?
Waited till the end to do that to you. No, and look, the pitching, everybody's trying to go crazy. That scene in Dark Knight was like, everybody goes crazy. That's how everybody feels about the Reds pitching right now. I'm here to tell you that calm should reign, because you cannot evaluate pitching in spring training. And I'm firmly of the belief, I don't even know that this is very bold, but my last bold prediction of the day, the Reds starting pitching will have 3 starters of 30 or more starts. Steve, that's only happened once in the last 10 years. That was 2019. That was Luis Castillo, Sonny Gray, and Anthony Sclafani, were the last 3 starters on the same starting staff to throw 30 or more starts in the season. You got to go back to like the amazing starting staffs of 2012, 2013, 2014 to where you get more than 2 starting pitchers over 30 starts. And then once you go past that, it gets really bleak because you're talking about some bad starting staffs apart from Aaron Harang and Bronson Arroyo. So ultimately, this is a thing that hasn't happened very often in my lifetime as a Reds fan. And so that's why it's bold. We just haven't seen it very often. But I think that we're getting 30-plus starts from Brady Singer, 30-plus starts from Nick Lodolo, and 30-plus starts from Andrew Abbott.
So I can hear the keyboards clacking in the comments right now. But listen, Jeff, you've nailed it. You trifected this in having bold predictions in each segment that feel big and grandiose. And oh my God, Jeff Carr's losing his mind. And then if you just pick at it a little bit and look at the numbers, it's not really that big a take because the Reds missed this by 2 games last season from those dudes you just mentioned. And if you average out the starts, Brady Singer started 32, Andrew Abbott was in 29, Nick Lodolo was in 29. That's 30 starts each. Just have to share a couple starts. This is not that big a take. If Nick Lodolo is as healthy in 2026 as he was in 2025, and we know he missed some time a little bit, he's going to get 30 starts. Brady Singer's going to get 30 starts. And Andrew Abbott missed it by 1 game. He's going to get that this year. That is not that big of a swing. But all of these takes, folks, I know you're wondering what's the end game? Where is this going? What are we doing with these takes? These takes paint a picture of where we think the Cincinnati Reds are going to go. These takes paint a picture of the promise that we think this roster and this team has in the 2026 baseball season. Are they going to get to the National League Championship Series? It can happen, and it's going to take the performances from these guys that we talked about. Will we be spot on with the numbers? Maybe Gino only hits 51 home runs instead of 55. Maybe Pagan saves 39 instead of 40, but they have to be at the top of their game. They have to perform at a high level. That's what we're saying, folks. These takes, if these players are in the vicinity of the numbers we have given you today, the Reds will win this division. The Reds will advance in the postseason, and the Reds will, to Jeff's point, get to the National League Championship Series where they can slug it out with the Los Angeles deferrals, and who knows what's going to happen then.
Yeah, all bets are off when that happens, but man, this is going to be a fun season, and we have got a season preview coming up for you tomorrow. We're going to break down everything that we're looking at, reasonable expectations, why there are some prediction systems that honestly they're wrong, but you know that we were going to say that because we say that a lot. And when it comes to these Cincinnati Reds, we're going to tell you why a division championship is in their future. And 2026 is going to be so much fun. So make sure that you're following us all along the way. So much content for you. If you missed anything from yesterday, we talked about the Reds roster being final, and I kind of broke down why Nate Lowe is going to bring so much value to this team. Such a great addition that he was as we headed on into spring training. And we got so much more coming for you as we get to opening day. We'll look at some FanDuel futures you need to jump on, the season preview that's coming up, and so much more. So hit that subscribe button, follow us along the way. And if you are a subscriber, if you are an everydayer, thank you so much for that. Now go ad free. Join the Everydayer Club. Go to lockedonreds.supercast.com. Join for $5 a month, $50 for a whole year, or for the rest of this month of March, put in the promo code March and get a free month on us. That's all on lockedonreds.supercast.com. But that's going to do it for us here today. Now, make sure you hang on. If you're watching here on YouTube, you can go to Locked On 24/7 feed, where all the biggest sports stories are being covered by all of the hosts of the Locked On Podcast Network. Or if you're listening, make sure you check out Sully and Brett Chansey and Mike Stanton over on Locked On MLB. Whether it's Locked On MLB with Sully or Back to the Bullpen with Brett Chansey and Mike Stanton, they've got you covered from a league-wide perspective, giving you all the biggest news around Major League Baseball. That'll do it for Steve and myself, though, because you know that we will be Locked On Reds every single day.
You are in like August form. You snuck in a Raisel Iglesias reference and Star Wars in the same segment.
Oh, I'm ready, baby. Thursday can't get here fast enough.